This meeting is called to order. The chair will accept a motion from the floor.
Mr. President, I move that the board rescind the 2021-2022 Learn Lafayette reopening plan.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor that the board rescind the 2022 plan. Any comments from the public concerning this motion?
Okay, I got it. Julia Reed, President, Lafayette Parish Association of Educators. So we are just concerned about possible exposure of school staff to legal repercussions in the absence of any sort of plan. While we are not opposed to amending the plan, we would like to see something. That way teachers and other school staff are still protected. Thank you.
I'm not accustomed to this. Good evening. Nick Richard, teacher, Lafayette High School. I'm here to advocate on behalf of not only my coworkers, but all staff members. We really like these scrubs. Just going to be honest with you. And so back in August, there was a memo that said, once we get rid of this plan, there go the scrubs. And because they weren't professional dress. There's quite a few professions that wear scrubs. One might say one of those is not educators. I have found these very useful. I keep my pens right here. I keep my extra stuff in that pocket right there. When I'm booting cars, my God, they're way more comfortable than khaki pants and a button-up shirt. I got grease on myself today booting a car. It was great. I didn't worry. I was wearing scrubs. Ms. Reed had mentioned months ago that y'all were struggling with transformation zone teachers and what can we do? Can we give them more money? She said it's not all about money. Sometimes it's about those little things, those soft benefits. This is one of them. I feel like my teachers have been coming to me as a department head and I happen to agree with them. And so I don't know if something can be done at the board level or the central office level to make that happen for the teachers and the staff who are there day after day. Give us this one little thing. Thank you.
If there's no other public comment on the board, yes, Mr. Centeni?
I'll clarify. I saw some questioning looks from some of the board members when Mr. Richard was speaking. Mr. Richard is in charge of parking at Lafayette High School, and as a result, he does have to put boots on cars on occasion. Yes, parking is at a premium at 3000 West Congress. And to answer his question or his comment, that's entirely up to the superintendent. The superintendent, determines what the dress code is for her employees. I'm certain she has a teacher advisory panel that she meets with on a regular basis. I've always found the superintendent to be very reasonable on things like this, and I know she's focused on teacher retention right now. So I'm certain if you bring that up with her and make your case convincingly, she would hear that with an open mind. As far as the motion itself, we had a short discussion about this last week at the meeting. I think each of us has heard stories from parents and grandparents and people in the community whose children have been missing a high number of days of school. Certainly not commensurate with whatever illness they may contract or commensurate with sicknesses they may experience. In a large number of cases, either healthy children who are missing school and missing education for no other reason than we're forcing them to. Now, I understand the safety measures and the safety concerns that came with this guidance for quarantining. I understand exactly what we were trying to accomplish, but I also think it's meaningful and incumbent upon us to periodically review these policies to make sure they're achieving what we are trying to achieve. And for me, I'm trying to achieve that students remain in school. I'm trying to achieve that students continue to learn, and it doesn't happen when they have to miss multiple 5-day quarantine periods and they're not sick. So that's where I'm coming from with this. I'd also comment that I understand that simply rescinding this plan does not mean everything just changes overnight. There will be a transition period. For example, I was speaking with the superintendent, and she explained that a lot of schools are short on cafeteria staff, and it hasn't really been a problem because we haven't been using the cafeteria. So our schools are probably going to need some time to staff back up in order to make full use of some of their facilities that haven't been in use for a year and a half. So I would also, I don't know if we need to modify the motion or if it's just enough to make a comment about it. I think it would be helpful if the superintendent would present an implementation report to us at our monthly meeting saying where are we on getting back to normal, where are we on returning to our normal mode of operations as we move forward. So I'll also, if Mr. President will allow, if any of you have any questions about this, I'll be happy to answer.
Mr. Latchley?
I also spoke on Wednesday, as did Mr. Santani during the information item, and I echo a lot of what he said. And I want to reiterate something I said because I got a couple of messages from teachers who put a lot of trust in me and always have my ear. And I think this one teacher may not have heard this comment, but I want to say it again. The frustration of, the children, the students not being in school, examples of multiple students missing 5, 10, 15 days and never getting sick, and Acadiana having 700 to 800 students out at any particular time. I made the comment that none of this was the fault of staff, administrations, or faculty. Any education that has occurred this year is a direct result of the professionals we have in our system. I think our staff, our teachers, administration, top to bottom, from the principal, everyone on the campus has done an exceptional job of trying to keep things going. So I wanted to make that just a little bit clear that any and all frustration was a lot of the messages and phone calls and grocery shopping and talking to parents of they want their children in school. And that's why our campuses are there, to have these students in school. And it doesn't happen often, and we don't say it enough, but thank you to everyone who went above and beyond. But our employees are at a wit's end. They're stressed. It's beyond the contact tracing, the constantly sending healthy kids home. It's time to move forward. 2 years ago it was 2 weeks to do something with the curve or whatever it was, and it ended up being 23 months. So I'm 100% in support of this. That's why the information item was put on last Wednesday's meeting. And I fully believe it's time we do something, and hopefully that gets taken care of tonight. Thank you.
Any other board comments? Yeah, yes, sir, Mr. Broussard.
I am in agreeing that something has to be done. But rescinding this seems like we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We've got another plan. We don't have a better plan. My thing is, until we get a better plan than what's before us, I'm in favor of keeping this plan in place. I know the 5 days, the 10 days, the 15 days, whatever it was before. But what's the old saying, 1 ounce of prevention is upon a cure? If one person is saved by the mask mandate, then we are fulfilling our obligation as leaders. So I'm totally against it tonight because we don't have a better plan in place to implement the safety and the education of our people working with us and the students that we're trying to educate.
Any other comment? Yes, ma'am, Ms. LeBou.
I would just like to say, I think, to echo Mr. Centeni's comments, there are processes and procedures that this plan put in place, for example, removal of excess furniture so we could space everybody out better, sanitation, processes, all these things aren't going to go away overnight. It's just allowing us to give room to return back to some sense of consistency with education. We have, in fact, last night I stopped at a friend's house. They had 2 kids home that were sent home from quarantine. They're cleaning pools with their dad during the day. They're not staying home. These are not sick kids. But we don't have the technology in place, and we don't have the ability in place to educate these kids while we're sending them home. There's learning loss that's happening, and we're at a point in time where I think we really have to prioritize education, and knowing that we're going to maintain some of the things that we put in place, the spacing, the cleaning. These things, like you said, the cafeteria situation, some of these things are going to not change overnight, but it's giving us the ability to keep those kids in school, keep them educated. Again, common sense, if they're sick, they will stay home. And if they're well and we can educate them, let's keep them in school. It is the mission of us is to bring into society, our mission as a board is to help to educate kids to go out into the world and contribute meaningfully, and we're hindering that right now. And so it's incumbent upon us to make this decision. So I'm grateful that we had this plan. I'm grateful that we have some of these mechanisms like sanitation and increased communication in place, but I'm also grateful that we're going to make a change to keep those kids back in school.
Any other comments from members of the board? Hearing none. I'm sorry, Mr. Broussard.
Just ask the question, do if anyone behind me, in front of me, know of any plan that we're going to implement if this is rescinded? Do we have just a yes or no answer? I don't need no explanation how we're going to do it. Do we have anything in place instead of what's before us? Just a yes or no. I don't need to, just yes or no.
A formal plan? No.
Mrs. Centeni?
Mr. Broussard, I would suggest that we're probably going to go back to the plan that we had in place for 140 years before the pandemic hit.
If there's no other questions or comments, Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote. I'm sorry. Mayor?
So if there's no plan that's going to be in place, why can't we just tweak this plan and make changes there? Because we're not totally against everything that's in this plan, right?
So, Ms. Morrison, based on the direction of the board this evening, staff will come back together tomorrow morning and keep those things that are just good practices anyway. The distancing to the greatest extent, hand sanitizer, those things that are just good practice with or without COVID, we certainly are going to keep those things in place.
Okay. And also I want to say, I do agree, having kids stay home after being exposed. I think that's unnecessary. I think that if they have been exposed, I really would like to see those students being masked just to protect others. I think that's a great idea. So I just wanted to share that. So I do agree that our kids needs to be in school, and I'm against them losing any learning time at all, because they have lost a whole lot during COVID, and this is unnecessary. But if they have been exposed, I think they should wear a mask. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, we'll call for the vote.
7 for, 2 against.
Motion carries. That was the only item on the agenda. I want to thank everyone for coming. This meeting is adjourned.